Well, Republican presidential candidates will lay out their foreign policy plans at the first debate tonight in Milwaukee. House Select Committee on China Chairman Mike Gallagher out with a new op-ed in the Wall Street Journal on how the, quote, GOP presidential candidates need to talk about China tonight. He writes, the best policies to address China's threat to the U.S. and promote peace in the Indo-Pacific will determine who passes the commander-in-chief test. Candidates are also expected to discuss Russia's war in Ukraine and whether they plan to continue sending money. Joining me now, a retired two-star Marine Corps general, the Punaro Group CEO and author of The Ever-Shrinking Fighting Force, General Arnold Punaro. General, good morning. First off, the candidates tonight on that stage, what do you want to hear from them when it comes to China?
Well, Cheryl, privileged to be with you this morning, and certainly tonight is a real opportunity for the American people to hear these candidates' views on national security, especially China. National security, the fundamental underpinning of everything we do. I was digging around this morning, my tie was flapping around, I was looking for a tie clip, and I'm not kidding. I picked Ronald Reagan tie clip out of my box, and Reagan's motto was peace through strength. We have to be strong with national security economically, militarily, technologically, and diplomatically. So, and one of the key things is, how do we deter China? How do we basically deter them in the short term, and how do we win in the long term? So I'm going to be looking to hear what these candidates say about how do they back up Ronald Reagan's peace through strength, and how do they identify with the mainstream national security views of our Republican leaders in the Congress, Mitch McConnell, Roger Wicker, Ken Calvert, Mike Rogers, Mike Turner, Mike McCall. These are Mike Gallagher, Rob Whitman. These are people that basically fundamentally push for the right approach to our national security. And George Washington had a saying that the most effective way of preserving the peace is to be prepared for war. And we live in a very dangerous, turbulent, and uncertain world. And so we need a very strong national security, especially vis-a-vis China.
I love that you brought up Ronald Reagan, because this morning I was actually reading a piece in the journal, What Would Reagan Tell the GOP Debaters? And one of the things that it says is that forget unconstructive outrage, offer a clear pathway to reclaiming our government and talking about us on the world stage, and making sure that when people think America and they think about the military, they think about the strength of this country. But Gallagher made some interesting points as well in his piece, and I wanted to ask you about this. He said, first, TikTok. They need to talk about TikTok becoming basically the most powerful social media company in the United States, and then also dealing with Chinese companies. The Commerce Department announced plans to remove 27 Chinese companies and other organizations from the unverified list. It's a blacklist that limits the ability to buy American technology. And now we're finding out officially that Gina Raimondo is going to be going over to China. This is a 4-day trip. She's going to Beijing. She's going to Shanghai. I mean, is this the way that the Biden administration should be addressing China? Are we looking strong to the Chinese right now, General?
Well, Cheryl, first of all, let me compliment Mike Gallagher on his op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. He's a United States Marine like I am, and one of the highest compliments you can pay a Marine as it relates to being accurate on the rifle range is that you put steel on target. And Mike Gallagher, when it comes to China and all his recommendations, has put steel on target as it relates to TikTok, as it relates to quit sending U.S. capital to companies in China that are on the blacklist, and making sure that, he would argue, I'm sure, like I would, that releasing these holds and lifting the prohibition on these 27 companies, it hasn't worked in the past. That's a failed strategy in the past. It doesn't bring China around to good behavior. And so I think you have to basically be very, very tough on these capital flows and tighten down on the flow of exporting materials that we don't want China to convert to their military power. In terms of Gina Raimondo, she actually is a pro-business member of the cabinet, one of the more effective members, and I don't worry as much about her traveling over there. China's struggling a little bit right now in their economy, so maybe she'll come back with more positive news than some of her predecessors. But frankly, again, peace through strength. You've got to fundamentally deal with China. They're our adversary. They're not our friend. Yes, we compete with them, but they're fundamentally our adversary, and we need all of our national security needs to be focused on basically deterring China, especially vis-a-vis Taiwan, in the short term, but also winning in the long term.
Adam Johnson's on set with me. He's got a question about the U.S. military for you.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. And General, to Cheryl's point about strength, and certainly yours as the author of Our Ever-Shrinking Fighting Force, how is it that 1/3 of the United States Navy's attack submarines are not battle ready? How is it that 18 of 49 submarines are not able to go out and patrol, project strength, and defend this country? How does that happen, and what do we do about it?
Well, Adam, I'm so glad you brought that up because you've hit the nail on the head. Again, I'll give you credit, Steel on target. We have a fundamental advantage with our attack submarines and our undersea water capability vis-a-vis China and vis-a-vis our other adversaries. And frankly, we need to be beefing that up and building a lot more than 2 Virginia-class attack submarines a year. And frankly, Fred Smith, the founder of FedEx and a war hero from Vietnam, Silver Star, 2 Purple Hearts, he made a comment a few months ago at a forum I was at. He said, look, the Chinese Navy needs to understand our Navy, the U.S. Navy, can sink their Navy. And we need to do a heck of a lot better job to bring that about, because in a couple of years, China will have 400 ships, we'll have 280 ships. And frankly, to me, it's disgraceful that we're not able to keep our ships 100% ready. I know various administrations, the last administration, this administration, they understand this, but we're not kind of moving the knee of the curve in that area. And certainly, the Navy is an area where we need to significantly increase our capability in the Indo-Pacific. We also need to increase our air power. We've got to get our Air Force where they can carry long range, particularly with our premier fighter like the Joint Strike Fighter. It needs a lot more capability, particularly revolutionary engine capability, to be able to take the fight to China.
I'm so glad that you brought that up about air power and, of course, the Navy, sir. Thank you for that. General Arnold Punaro, thank you for your service. Thank you for being here, sir. It's always great to see you.
Anytime, Cheryl. Thank you.
All right.